Hey, it's Jacob, bringing pro tips number 52. This is using vulnerability and risk insights from Lansweeper sites in conjunction with on-prem deployment and Winget and Chocolatey. Now, the reason why I wanted to show this is we've had a few requests about both security and risk insights and deployment functionality, and I thought I'd just throw everything together. So right off the bat, we're going to go to risk insights here. And another reason that made me do this pro tip is this is my stuff right here. Sad to say. So you notice right here when I log on, I have some critical vulnerabilities to fix, a couple of them being Zoom. So if I just type Zoom right here, I have 35 vulnerabilities, 3 of them critical for Zoom. Now, I could go through this, and it does tell you with the risk insights, the base score, CVE number, any sort of relevant information. You could go through all of this, but basically what I can tell and from here and what is very useful about this is I know that I need to patch Zoom. So how do I do this automatically or in an automated fashion? Because yes, you have results, but now what? And other patching tools and third-party tools you may or may not have, but they are expensive and they're complicated to use. So me being me, I wanted a built-in free way to do it, and you can do it with Lansweeper on-prem. So right here, if I pick this vulnerability for Zoom, it tells you quickly what assets are involved. It's an Alienware. And likewise, here's another vulnerability for Zoom, and there is Win10 VM1, which I set up with an older version of Zoom, 5.14.11. So in Lansweeper sites and any sort of asset that has a vulnerability, you have a section right here called Risk Insights. And you can see here, just by having that older version of Zoom, I have a whole bunch of vulnerabilities. So if I go to on-prem, and I've spelled this out in the article pro tip, you can create reports with on-prem to show what is not the latest version of Zoom or any software that you're looking for, as long as it conforms to the standard versioning. So the first thing I want to talk about is Lansweeper's deployment features. So if you go at the top menu and hit deployment, you've probably seen this. You have some built-in deployment tasks or scripts, etc. But you can add steps, create packages, run scripts, copy files, run MSIs or EXEs to do all sorts of things. So I want a way, and normally right here, I could prep a Zoom executable or package for deployment, and I can download the newest one and I can deploy it to whatever I want. But I don't want to have to keep updating packages. So how do I do this in an automated fashion where I just have to make one deployment package and from now on it will deploy the latest version, whatever that may be? And I found 2 ways of doing it for this article. One is called Winget, which is a Microsoft command line utility of App Installer, and it will install applications or update them or remove them from the command line. And the other one is Chocolatey, which is a more mature and robust solution that works the same way. It's command line. You can update, configure, add, remove applications. So I will show you for later versions of Windows 10 and all versions of Windows 11. You can just type in Winget and you will see command line utility if you have it, and you can list. It'll inventory and list the applications that you have on your machine. Likewise, you can show Chocolatey the same way, except it's called Choco or Choco. I don't know. So you can do Choco list, and it will list applications on your machine. Now, Chocolatey does not inventory your entire application list on your machine. It does with the business version. We're doing the free version. So it only knows what it has packages and what it is installed, basically. So it is as easy as saying Choco or Winget upgrade Zoom. It's pretty much that easy. So you can, and what I did was I made reports for Zoom, and these are in the article, where I have the not latest versions, and I have them for Choco and Winget because Winget only functions under the user account. And I talked about this in the article. Very annoying and very tricky to deal with. So my Winget workstations without the latest version of Zoom, there's my Win10 VM1. I have to scan this. I just so happen to scan this VM in the course of the past 15 minutes. But here we go. We have the 5.14 and the latest version, which is 5.17.11. These reports will be available on the website or in my blog article. So the neat thing about deployment is you can schedule deployments. So we will make a package here, which I did, and we will schedule it. So right here, I have Winget install or upgrade Zoom. And right here, since it's an easy command line, you just put one step of a command, of a type command, and I provide the steps in the article. But basically, you will start a command prompt and you will run that command right there, and you will accept any prompts so it doesn't pop up when you're installing. So it's Winget install ID zoom.zoom. And you can schedule this, which is a cool thing. This is how we're going to automate it. You can schedule this, and I will show you. So I want to catch it right after the asset is scanned because it runs as a logged on user. It's useless if you try to run it behind the scenes as an administrator. It won't be able to find Winget. So I choose the package I just talked about, Winget install or upgrade Zoom. And the neat thing about deployment, or another neat thing, is you can deploy on reports. So reports is a way to pinpoint target whatever you want to perform an action or deployment action on. So right here, I choose my report, Winget workstations, making sure that they have Winget or this won't work on the earlier version of Zoom. And for Winget, I have to choose currently logged on. So this will run with the credentials of the currently logged on user. So what does this look like once I enable and I have my older version of Zoom here? I told it not to update. So I have the old version of Zoom. And as soon as I enable this schedule to install or upgrade Zoom, and I enable it, and I go back and I scan this because it will run right after scanning. So we're going to wait just a minute. It's going to scan. So it's done scanning. So what will happen is it will kick off the deployment because it has an older version of Zoom. It will populate the report. And right here, it starts the Winget install or upgrade Zoom. Now, I talked about this in the article, but there is not an easy way without some complicated programming to hide the execution of it, which there was a small command prompt that was hid, which was minimized, and get the successful exit code. So this package will say it timed out when in actuality it worked. This is one of the caveats of Winget. So the deployment package will rescan once it times out, but we'll go ahead and rescan it. And while that's going, we can verify here that from version 5.14, it went to 5.17.11. Now, this is just saying Winget upgrade Zoom. So these packages will go out to the internet, grab the deployment package, and download it, and then install it. For businesses with a whole lot of assets, a whole lot of devices, you will want to come up with a more enterprise-ready solution, especially for Winget. Not quite there yet for enterprise, but for smaller 0 days and smaller deployments, it works okay. So right here, we're at 5.17.11. So it has finished scanning. You will see in the history, I know I've done this a bunch, but right here, 5.17.11. We will now go back to Lansweeper sites. We will rescan. No, actually, we will resync because we already scanned it. There you go. It's resynced. And now, if you look at Risk Insights, there's none there. So we just remediated all of those Zoom vulnerabilities for this machine using Winget in an automated fashion. Because that deployment, again, is scheduled right here to run after scanning. Whenever a machine is scanned and it has that criteria of Winget and an older version of Zoom, it will kick off the upgrade. And then voila, you have now remediated all of those vulnerabilities for there. So now if I search for Zoom, I'm now down to 1 or 2 machines, which happen to be powered off right now. So that's Winget. Now I'm going to go over Chocolatey. And Chocolatey works better for this scenario because you can run it behind the scenes, system wide with administrative credentials. You don't have to run it as a user. So it basically works like you would expect it to work. So we will go back here and I will, for the 10,000th time on this machine, we will uninstall Zoom and we will put the old version back on. Now, right here, Zoom and Chrome and other applications, a common thing is it has an auto updater, which is great. I'm going to uncheck it for this scenario. But as you know, or most likely know, all of these auto updates, a lot of times they don't update for various reasons. So you're stuck with older versions. Okay, so we now have 5.14 back. And I need to go back and turn off this scheduled deployment because guess what will happen? I did this a minute ago. I didn't uncheck it. Once it gets scanned, it puts it back on. It upgrades it with Winget. And we're going to do Chocolatey. So I have to disable this one. And again, I have some reports that I will provide, but it has Chocolatey workstations that are not on the latest version of Zoom. Now, this one will populate. It hasn't populated right now because everything is on the latest version of Zoom. What we can do is as soon as I scan that VM again, it will show the old one. So we go back to the deployment packages and upgrade Zoom with Chocolatey. It would help if I stuck to a naming convention. I wouldn't be searching for it. So upgrading Zoom with Chocolatey. A lot of times, like I said, Chocolatey does not scan unless it's the business version. It does not sync all your packages and know what's on your machine. It only knows the Chocolatey packages. So here, if you say -no operation, there's your Choco upgrade Zoom. That easy. But I told it don't actually do any executions. So what this will do is it will effectively put it in the Choco library. So when you on your local machine, so it'll know that it's there. The next step being Choco upgrade Zoom -y to accept the prompts. So we want a silent unattended install. Unattended install. And this will run as the scanning credentials and it will run behind the scenes and we will rescan the asset like before. So we then go to the deployments, the scheduled deployments, just like before with Winget. And we will, after scanning, or you can schedule it, but after scanning, we will choose upgrade Zoom with Chocolatey. And we will choose Choco workstation is not the latest version of Zoom. And we will now enable it. So now we're going to rescan this asset. And now it kicked off the deployment. So right here, we see in the history that upgrade Zoom with Chocolatey finished. We will rescan the asset. And we will also verify that it has upgraded. Version 5.17.11. Now you do have to be careful. Sometimes with Chocolatey, it's best to start out with the Chocolatey package versus try to update an existing Zoom or an existing application that didn't start off coming from the Chocolatey repo. Sometimes it doesn't properly detect the other one, so it will cause some problems or not update, and you'll end up having to uninstall and reinstall an application. I did run into that with Zoom a couple of times. Okay, so we rescanned, we look back at the history. There it is, 5.17. And the risk insights, the vulnerabilities are gone. So that's basically it. It's a down and dirty way to automatically update or keep applications up to date or deploy them with Winget and Chocolatey. Don't really like Winget. It's not very mature. It isn't ready for deployment, ironically enough. Chocolatey, very good, but for businesses, you might want to set up a local repository. You can Google that. It's called a simple server, or check Chocolatey's website for more information. But in a pinch or for smaller environments, you can use Chocolatey just fine. So there you have it. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you on the next one. See ya.